NHL players are athletic specimen and some of the best athletes in the world. So what other sports could NHL players excel in if they had to change a heart? A couple of months ago we counted down part 1, so if you missed that I recommend to watch that list first, and then you can come back and watch this one. And of course, if this is your first time finding my channel and you enjoyed this video, subscribe to stay up to date. Number 8. John Tavares. Although most hockey players would make exceptional lacrosse players, Tavares has some additional cause. His uncle, also named John Tavares, is widely regarded as the best indoor lacrosse player of all time. He possesses every single record in the sport and just retired last year at the age of 46. So when you combine his legendary genes as well as his already exceptional hands, it's easy to believe that the younger John could have been a record setter as well. However, I'm sure he's happy with the path he chose because he made more in his first season in the NHL than his uncle did throughout his entire career. Yikes. Number 7. Chris Kreider. As you may have observed by now, New York Rangers forward Chris Kreider is a freak of nature. The 26-year-old stands at 6'3" and 230 pounds and is now a 6-year NHL veteran. A couple of summers ago, a video surfaced of Kreider jumping out of a pool in his Massachusetts home, showcasing the explosiveness that he has to offer. This explosiveness leads me to believe that Kreider would be one hell of a point guard. NBA point guards average around 6'2", so he would fit in perfectly that way. In addition, when considering his tremendous leg strength, I feel like Kreider is definitely capable of throwing it down. As far as his shooting and handles go, well, who knows. Number 6. Patrick Eaves. One of the most popular NHL charity events around is Smashfest, which is a ping pong tournament founded by Dominic Moore. NHL players make up the majority of the competition, the likes of Phil Kessel, Tyler Seguin, Claude Giroux, and Mitch Marner just to name a few. The ping pong table is a hotspot in nearly all NHL locker rooms, so the competitiveness of this event is through the roof. Despite all the talent present, one player stands above them all, and that is Patrick Eaves. Eaves has now won the tournament 3 times in a row, showcasing his dominance each and every year. As far as professional ping pong goes, I'm not quite sure, but there could be a spot open on the Canadian Olympic ping pong team after his NHL career is over. Number 5. John Michael Liles. Although golf is common amongst hockey players, not all of them are good at it. John Michael Liles, however, is an exception. He played competitive golf all the way through high school, until of course he had to stop because of hockey. He was ranked the 3rd best golfer out of all other professional athletes by Golf Digest in 2015. This is proven in his acclaimed 0.8 handicap, so if you're going to pick any partner at a charity tournament, it should probably be Liles. Number 4. Nikolaj EHLERS. EHLERS began playing soccer at the age of 7 and split time between both sports growing up. He credits soccer with helping his game on the ice, and it sounds like he actually made it to a pretty high level back in Denmark. He played on the Danish national junior team until he was around 14, when he decided to focus all of his time on hockey. And considering there are about 10,000 professional soccer teams in the world, I'm pretty sure he could have found at least one to take his talents to. Number 3. Auston Matthews. Growing up in Arizona, baseball was more popular than hockey for Auston Matthews, and the fact that his dad was a collegiate pitcher didn't help to influence Auston either. However, hockey was still 1A to Auston and baseball was 1B, as he often missed baseball practices for hockey. He played catcher growing up as he liked being involved in early action, but he really excelled at hitting as he was always one of the tallest kids growing up. Nevertheless, at age 13, he hung up his cleats and bat to focus on hockey, and you could probably argue that it turned out alright.
Nice.
Well done.
That was beauty, bro.
Number 2. Andrew COPP. Although he may be marginal for the Winnipeg Jets, he was anything but that on the high school football field. Going into high school at Skyline High School in Michigan, his father pressured him to play football because it would increase his physicality on the ice. Since he'd never really played the sport since flag football in 6th grade, he was just expecting a dependable secondary position, but instead found himself as the team's quarterback. Going into his junior season, he was the team's starting quarterback, as well as a star on the ice playing for CompuWare, one of the best AAA hockey programs in the country. On the field, he was starting to gain NCAA Division I interest, and on the ice, he had just received an offer to join the U.S. National Team Development Program, a lifelong dream of his and his father's. Unfortunately, USA Hockey would not allow him to play both sports. Football season was about to start, so he declined the invitation. After Skyline season had ended, USA Hockey offered him another spot to finish the season on the ice, which he gratefully accepted. Heading into his senior season, both parties worked out a deal, allowing him to play both football and hockey. His schedule was hectic, but the football team scheduled practices around him. Most days, he'd leave school early to work out and skate with the development program, and then he'd drive back to school for football practice. It was a crazy ordeal, but everyone was supporting him. 6 games into his senior season, he had already thrown for 27 touchdowns and had set the state record by throwing for 557 yards in one game. At this point, he'd already received offers from Division I football programs like Toledo, Eastern Michigan, and even Minnesota was thinking about COPP playing both sports for the Gophers. Then, in the 7th game of the football season, COPP was clobbered to the ground and broke the collarbone on his throwing shoulder. That was his last football play. He decided to stick with hockey. He finished the hockey season by winning the U18 World Championships gold and signed with the University of Michigan for hockey. Although he's a solid NHL player, football is a far more lucrative sport, so who knows what could have been. Number 1. Jamie Benn. Back in 2007, Jamie Benn was drafted 129th overall by the Dallas Stars. Today, he's one of the most dominant forces in the NHL. So you may ask how such a powerful player could fall that far in the draft. And well, the answer to that is baseball. Growing up, Jamie played both hockey and baseball casually. He was never really overly committed to one sport, nor did he spend every waking hour with a personal trainer to hone his skill set. He was just a natural athlete. His father claims that Jamie actually liked baseball more than hockey and really only gave the NHL a try because he was drafted, as one does. Prior to that, he was planning on playing D1 college hockey as well as collegiate baseball, with hopes of eventually making it to the MLB. Scouts say that he was often overlooked in hockey because of the fact that he barely played compared to his competitors, as he only played in the British Columbia Hockey League, which at the time was a polar opposite of what it is today, so don't get too offended. Scouts also said that he was out of shape and rough around the edges, and in fact he was even snubbed by Hockey Canada for every single junior A hockey tournament possible. However, the day he was drafted changed everything. When he was picked, he wondered, why not just try to make it to the NHL right now, and just kept his baseball talent as a backup plan. And of course, you know the rest of the story. So between this list and part 1, what athletes do you think I missed? Who should be included in part 3, assuming we can find enough people to make a part 3? So comment everything like that down in the comments below, as well as any other video that you'd like to see. Lastly, don't forget to subscribe for more content and stay up to date.